Boom, bam, bam. What's going on, world? This is your girl, Marky Lemons-Ryhal. And guess what? I had the great honor to present at Canada's largest real estate event with the #1 trade organization in all of Canada. And when I get to Canada, because I don't think I know anybody in Toronto, we are in the speaker's room. And in walks these two distinguished gentlemen. And the first one is Enlai Chu. And he says, Marky, I know you. Eleni has spoken about you. Now I'm feeling global, y'all, okay? And then he has an actor with him, right? Who's handsome with a beard named Joseph. And I'm thinking, we had so much fun backstage for the Reach program where you have a company called Productive.ai, and you absolutely blew my freaking mind. How you guys doing today?
Awesome. Thanks.
Awesome.
Very good. And just so you know, Marky, ever since you left Toronto, Canada literally set up in flames. So thank you for that.
I did not have anything to do with that.
It's just an awful coincidence. I'm just saying.
It is an awful coincidence. But you know what? One, I'm sending my prayer and my love to you and the entire country, because definitely we do not want any natural disasters to occur. Yeah, and so we are with you in spirit.
Thank you.
And looking forward to all of this passing, right? And
really, yeah.
Supporting you guys in the rebuilding phase is, of course, that will be necessary after this.
Yeah.
What we talked about today, because you all were curious if I was going to be working on Juneteenth. And to be honest with you, I've had 4 appointments today on Juneteenth. And what we decided, talking about Productive AI as a tool, the fact that it is mobile, and the fact that you can work on holidays no matter where you're located. So I want you guys to tell everyone, especially in the world of real estate, about Productive.ai.
Yeah, sure. All right. Let me start. Hi, everyone. Thank you, Marky, for having us. My name is Enlai Chu, and I am the founder and CEO of Productive. And the inspiration for what we build is to help the mobile generation work more effectively. Specifically, we have built an app that helps you to manage your phone calls. And the reason why we built the app was because real estate agents live on their phones and they get calls from random people at random times, especially when you're busy. You could be driving, you could be showing, and you just need a helping hand to manage that information that you would normally have to manually write down on a notepad or try to memorize it. And as we all know, you might remember it for a few hours, a few days, a few weeks, but then it kind of disappears. So we built the app to help you to automatically take notes on your cell phone calls, the tool that we use every day. It summarizes your calls and it basically does what you would normally do yourself by hand.
Okay, so this is what I'm envisioning. I'm on the Dan Ryan Expressway here in the city of Chicago. I have my phone on the little stand. There's numerous ways I can answer that call, right? But let's just say I tap the hello. It's piping through the Bluetooth in the car, and you're calling to schedule a showing appointment. You are a listing referral. Mm-hmm. And you have an investment property here in the city of Chicago. What information is my phone capturing?
Everything you want.
So you tell me your name, the property address, the bedroom, bathroom count. You even let me know that you have a tenant and the tenant's name and how I can contact the tenant in order to be able to go and view the property. And it is taking all of this audio information, putting it into your app, because you just said something that blew my mind. People might remember the information, for a day, a week. Most of us aren't remembering the information by the time we get to our destination to get out of the car, right?
Yeah,
And
100%.
right. So now we have all of the information from the call, right? Okay, keep talking to me because we just summarized that.
Well,
And I'm thinking, I need that beyond real estate. I
One of
need
the-
that in all my businesses.
yeah. One of the great things that we also do, aside from just helping you remember those pieces of information, is actioning them. So if you're in your car, you're driving.
Actioning them? Is that that's
Actioning.
Y'all made that word up?
No, that's a real word. Actioning.
Actioning. Okay.
Something like that. But what we do is, if I say I want to, I'd like to see that property tomorrow at 2 p.m. if it's available, you might have to look into it. You might be able to schedule it and just say, yes, let's meet tomorrow at 2 p.m. at 352 Branch Street. Our system detects it, puts it in your calendar.
I need a T-shirt, and I need it to say I'm actioning, like for real. What are you doing? What are you doing, Marky? Because I hate when people say, "Oh, you're always busy." I'm not busy. I tell everybody I am booked with productivity, right? However, I would like to be able to tell people I'm actioning. So schedule an appointment is an action. What other actions can I actioning on?
Yeah. So today, so to expand on what Joseph said and what you said earlier, there's actually a 3-step process, and this is how we all work. First, we want to acquire that information. So you write it down, or if you're lucky at your computer, you can type it into some note-taking app, and our app acquires that data by transcribing the call for you. So you can always go back and refer to it at any time. All the details, every single bit of detail. And it does this legally. So it actually discloses, much like you call any type of business today that says, your calls are being recorded or transcribed for note-taking purposes or quality, or so we can provide you with the best service. And then the second step is you analyze that data. So you've taken your notes and you look at them and you go, which ones are the 2 or 3 things that I need to do something with that information? And then the third step is you action it, you take action. So whether it's putting into your task list or putting into your calendar, and what we're building is a system that will eventually allow you to do very, very rich things like, hey, assistant, find the properties that we talked about on the phone. And it literally went from you spoke about something to those properties surfacing in your app. And why is that possible? It's because you actually spoke about every bit of that information that you would use to perform a search. Yes, the bedrooms and bathrooms and the price points matter, but I want to be 5-minute walk from restaurants. I have kids that go to school, and I want, some program. I want to be close to public transportation, or I want to live away from the public, you name it. But all of that was conveyed to you in that call. So you should be able to take all of that and find a property without you doing any manual work. And that's where we're heading.
Okay. Woosah. Now, what I'm visualizing is that productive.ai actually allows me to truly automate redundant tasks because of its audio to text transcription. And because I'm using tools like ChatGPT that now have plugins, like the Zillow plugin and the Redfin plugin and the Apartment Finder plugin and the Yelp plugin, that it is taking the audio to text transcription and it's delivering it back to me to give me a list of new 3 flats in 60615, 60653, so that when I hang up said telephone call, I have an appointment scheduled on Google Calendar. And I'm imagining if I wanted it to be Zoom, the Zoom link would be in there because I'm already doing that. And when I get to my final destination, I have a list of properties to show to that person. Is that what you just told me?
That's where we're going. Yeah. So we're on the first steps right now to help people to organize all of this rich information that they're losing today because your phone calls are ephemeral. The minute you hang up your calls, everything your client has told you, all of their needs, all their wants, their kids' names, their pets' names, their birth dates, all that stuff disappears unless you've manually written it down. And then you take those notes and do what with it? You would
Input it.
you would input it somewhere, or you just end up with a stack of books, notepads. So we want to help you to digitize that information. And so we're actually part of the National Association of Realtors accelerator for their venture arm called Reach. And the reason why they picked us was because, we were fortunate to be able to, meet up with that team, and they think that we could be a tool that really helps realtors go from this whole analog world of paper and pen to completely digitizing and automating their work and making them, giving them superpowers with the app.
Okay. So before I came into real estate, I was born and raised in the restaurant business. I've been gainfully self-employed since the tender age of 10 because I asked for too many pair of designer jeans. Gloria Vanderbilt, Sassoon, Jordache, Calvin Klein. I got them all at the age of 10, but I've been working ever since. And I am envisioning this productive.ai as a tool for any entrepreneur, but let's just focus on real estate. I'm envisioning the listing agent, the buyer's agent, the team leader, the home inspector, the appraiser, the title company, the closing agent, the attorney, if you're in a state that leverages attorneys in order to close real estate transactions. Everyone needs this tool because mortgage.
Yeah.
We're in our cars. We have all of this data. But now what I'm also going back to is the fact that, and then we need a customer relationship management system for all the data to pull in so then we can follow up effectively. Oh, yeah. This is, and think about how many people, okay. So I'm getting the audio to text. Is there a text to text component?
So first you think of the audio to text component, and let's close the loop here, because you spoke about the CRM system that helps you to manage all your data and organize everything. So you could go back years from now and still be able to reconstruct a transaction if you ever need to do that. After your call, that summary, the transcription, the notes, the tasks, the events magically show up in your CRM. So you never have to go home and enter this information into your CRM ever again manually.
How many hours, because I'm assuming you've done a study. I know you probably have. How much time do you estimate this will save a realtor per week?
So on average, it's about 40 minutes a day. So it could be hours a week. And this is for the folks who are diligently inputting information. There's also folks that don't actually do it. And you really don't realize that you need this information until you need the information. So what we found, and this is really, industry-wide for applications that are used in call centers, that are used in businesses, there's 3 reasons why people do this. It's CPR. The first is for compliance. And in some states, you actually need to have a record of all of your electronic communications for a transaction, emails, text messages. And you wouldn't be able to do this for calls, but now you can. The second is productivity. So that's the obvious use case. This is superpowers for you to automate your phone calls and note taking on your phone calls. And the third is R, which is risk. And this is when you're asked, what did you talk to the client about? What did you tell them? What did they tell you? And with emails and with messaging, you have the ability to go back and look and reference those forms of communication. But with calls, it's your word against theirs. And in situations where consumer advocate, consumer agencies are protecting the consumer, it's the onus of the business person or the business owner to have ways to protect themselves as well. So we found a lot of people telling us that that's why they're using the app. It's really so they can recall and prove, that they told somebody something, for example.
And let me say this, we are supposed to keep notes. This fills that void, right? Because we do have the text messages, we do have the emails, but we really didn't have the audio. We could go back and we could say, oh, I talked to so-and-so on this day at this time, but there was no true record of the conversation. So when they'll say, well, you said, 1, 2, 3, I might have said 2, 1, 3. And that one figure could change a lot of things, right? And so now when talking about your product, I'm realizing that it fills a void of a very important conversation stream that we really didn't have any proof existed other than going back and saying, oh, you talked for 50 minutes on so-and-so day, but we don't really know what that conversation was. And because most of us are driving, we didn't take records of the conversation anyway, or we could be sitting at the desk. That's just not really what we do. Now, when we met up in Canada, you were a part of a pitch battle. And let me tell you, I am going to be the judge of I'm one of 3 judges at the IOI summit here in the US that'll happen in Miami. So I'm pretty excited. But I love the fact of how you did your presentation because guess what? You shared the video. So we had proof of exactly what a wonderful job that Joseph did, right? In the presentation. So now we'll have that proof, right? Yeah. Of all forms of communication, right, Joseph?
You know what's funny is your personality is infectious. And I think of what's beautiful about how we met. We met in this room, this green room, as I'm waiting to go do a presentation, and so were you. And I don't know if you remember Richard, security guard.
Yes.
Who loved us. Yeah, absolutely. And it's shout out to him maybe I'll message him. I think he's on my Instagram. But we had this great conversation, and I always like to tell the story of what we're really doing is unlocking the potential for people to once again have great conversations without the worry of not having things documented, of not recalling, again, we've moved in this world to a space where we've all gone to the asynchronous communications. We're almost, in a sense, too afraid to pick up the phone anymore because there's no record. If I text you, at least it's there. If I email you, at least it's there. But email, my goodness, we get spammed like crazy. We're all getting emails. Now we're getting AI emails, which again, good and bad potentially. Same with text messages. But the phone call, empowering people to say, it's okay to just, hey, give me a quick call. Let's just talk. Pick up the phone. Things you don't pick up in text messages and emails: intent, tone, purpose. There's so much that's rich in your voice. And again, in your case, Marky, in particular, your voice, like how you speak is what draws people to listen to you, to watch you, and obviously for us to sit in a room and speak with you. So I think one of the things we're really excited about is to empower people to actually pick up their phone, and not just any phone line, the number that you're more or less assigned with at birth. We go through life with very few things. We go there with a social security number, a couple of email addresses. We all have that one Hotmail address from when we were very young, and we use it for all of our spam. When you go buy something at H&M, you give them that email because you don't really use it. And then you got your phone number, and that literally follows you around. It's your identity. And why aren't we using it? Well, because it hasn't evolved in 30 years. And that's literally where we come in and the pain point we're solving. So again, it ties into our experience with you. If I emailed you cold without ever meeting you, would this have been such a pleasure? Probably not. The fact that we met and had an actual conversation, and Richard being there, and Enlai, like this great meeting of minds. That's the importance of what we're doing, is that we're enabling people to have those great conversations again without the worry of anything.
Well, I would actually more likely have a conversation now only due to the fact that it will be acting as my personal assistant, like having a personal assistant with you every single where that you go, because it's going to take all of these different actions for me, scheduling the appointment, the ability to send me a list of potential properties. The fact that it's going to communicate directly with my customer relationship management system and let me know that you have 2 children and what college they're going to attend. I mean, it's like, just be more intentional, right? Because if we were to pick up the telephone to hold a conversation, we would likely have a higher return on that conversation, right?
Absolutely.
And now I'm also thinking about the fact that I use another AI tool that tells me the disc of the person. And so now I'm envisioning, right? Because we'll have all of these words, I will be able to tell you the tone of the person, right? And could even likely tell you what their disc profile is. And if I know your disc and I talk and mirror your tone back to you, I'm going to increase my productivity and my sales.
Exactly.
Oh, yeah. Okay, keep going. Tell me more.
The one other element you're touching on so well there, and maybe you could fill in a few of these, Marky, your cell phone number, your number. What important calls do you get on that number? From whom?
Oh, you set me up. I get calls from my husband, things that I need to do. I get calls from my children, my relatives, business partners, often with something that's a sense of urgency or something that needs to be modified or changed once I get home. So now I can schedule, yeah, you set me up. I could schedule Austin's appointment with the dermatologist.
Yes.
And I can also schedule his hair to be locked, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't. Okay, yeah, you got me
Personal
there.
productivity as well. Again, we look so much at business and even in real estate. And I have a lot of friends that are realtors. Their pain points stem far beyond just building relationships with leads and clients. They're in the car driving to the other end of the city. And this is a big component I hit on in my presentation, is that you're doing this while you're realizing you have to get back to walk your dog, or you get a call from your doctor while you're driving and they're recommending a certain medication to help you with the sniffles that you're having. Or, there's so much information and data that we're inundated with that no one could possibly manage it all. And specifically with your cell phone number and your cell phone calls, let alone, you talk about going video conference calls and all this stuff. The importance of your identity, of your phone number, is so important. You have some very vital calls and conversations that happen, let alone, I like to always tout my grandparents, those conversations alone, just for memorializing them with a recording, simplicity of that, just like, wow, to be able to record that on my cell phone number, the number that they've been calling me on since I've been a teenager. There's beauty in that. And your relationships with your friends, and seeing a little one-line summary after every single call. You get a one-line summary from Productive AI that reminds you of what you spoke about. So if you had 100 calls in a day, well, where's the call with my contact here that said, oh, here it is, it's about this new property. One-line summarization. We're trying to give you these superpowers that your iPhone dialer, your Android dialer, they don't have. And instant access to the summaries, the notes, the tasks.
And by the way, when you, if you notice your phone, the history of your calls on the recent screen actually disappears after about 100 or 200 calls. So you look back, and if you want to remember when those calls happen, etc., you could probably only do it for the past week, maybe 2, and that's it. So it wasn't built to be a tool for you to use in your day-to-day life as a business person. It really was built as a consumer grade productivity, not so much. It was a consumer grade basic, they call it a dumb pipe in the industry, that just carries your voice and not much else. So what we've done is add the ability to use this basic tool as part of your business, because we don't have desk phones anymore. Many of us don't have home phones anymore. So this is the primary tool that we use for personal as well as business. And what we've done is just layer on this primary tool with the features you need to run a business.
So what's funny, in cleaning up, I gave my husband a barbecue for Father's Day. We had a phone that was plugged in the kitchen. I threw the phone away. Now, the reason I threw the phone away, the only reason we still have a home phone number is because the package at Comcast is cheaper with the home phone.
How ridiculous is that? Yeah.
Right. Yeah, ridiculous. Now, I have a phone in my office. This phone has not been plugged up since the pandemic started. So since Friday, March the 13th, 2020, because I don't want the phone to ring with a spam call while I'm recording a video like this. And as I'm throwing the phone in the kitchen away, right? I'm saying to myself, like, this is like the dumbest thing in the entire world, right? I feel sorry for the people who've called and left a voicemail here, because clearly I haven't checked the voicemail of my home phone. And then my husband, his thought process, tell you how old his old mentality, not how old he really is. He was like, well, we always need a landline. Boo, it is not a landline phone. It is not a landline. There's no lines, right? This is wireless telephone, which is, look, same as this essentially, right? So you just made me think about the personal productivity and communicating with my aunts and my uncles. And communicating with my aunts and uncles, I'm even thinking about my grandparents' siblings. They want me to call to have a conversation. And generally, what Sunday they want you to come to church, because what's happening at church, when they need you to pick up something, who they want you to call, right? So they're giving me a list of things that they want me to write down to do. I will be a better niece as a result, right?
Absolutely.
Of your tool, because sometimes we remember or retain what is the most important. And then the things that aren't, necessarily important, we put to the back. So that means that we're always forgetting something, whether we know it or not, just because it's not ranked on that list of most important things. Well, now we can't act like we don't know, because we're going to get this list of all the great things. One thing you just said, when it comes to productive.ai, what are some of the other tools that you work with? I talked about the customer relationship management system, but what are some other ways that realtors can be empowered by leveraging this tool in their business?
Yeah. So, well, right now, the workflow that we're enabling is the ability for you to get those conversations, organize them, and be able to search and find them in no time, automatically. But once you have this information, so we haven't released these features yet, but I'll give you a little bit of a preview. It's literally like what you said earlier, and you can see where this is going from what ChatGPT is doing. They're enabling plugins that lets you reach out and connect with these third-party applications that you would normally touch with and do your work manually. You'll be able to take the right data. So everything is stored encrypted, is protected. And when you decide what data you want to be able to utilize with these third-party applications, we anonymize it, but you can then take the relevant data and feed it into these third-party apps to automate the work for you. So for example, if you had a DocuSign that you wanted to populate, it should be able to take the information that you already have stored somewhere and just populate it for you. Why do you need to manually enter the person's name and the property price and the property address and all that stuff manually? You have that information already. And with us, it's all going to be digitized. So we're going to be able to enable you to bridge that gap to automate all sorts of things, documents, searching emails, or bringing up, just say, hey, who did I talk to again about so and such a property? Or show me a list of everybody that called for this property. Or put this into a spreadsheet and order it by the highest to lowest bid price. I mean, imagine being able to do that, but you can see doing this already on ChatGPT because you literally type these types of natural language prompts into ChatGPT. And what's the LLMs or the large language models that have made ChatGPT possible good for? It's natural language. And guess what your phone calls are? 100% natural language.
Oh, you tied it all together so nicely. Like that just makes so much sense. And I'm loving the future, right? Well, one, I love it right now because even without future tools and plugins, it's still a phenomenal tool, right? It just means that people would have to do something manually after the fact, which is, it is what it is. But through the third party tools, it's the automation into all of these other tools. So, I have my customer relationship management system. We got our DocuSign and portal. Sometimes we need to communicate, at the time of closing, right? Most agents have to fill out something in order to be compensated. The fact that they can pull this information, the closing date, everything, right? Oh, actually, it'll be the date of execution of the sales contract and then the closing date that can then fill out that last form in order for them to be compensated. Or you can now take that and put it into your calendar, and you could get this, instead of just sending out I know that you closed on this date, it could be the anniversary of the day we first talked. Sounds corny, but hey, I know you don't remember our first conversation, but it was Juneteenth, 2023, right? Because you have all of the timestamps and everything to allow you to communicate more effectively on the smaller details that people might not think that are important to other people.
I mean, Marky, imagine if this was your assistant. What would you tell your assistant to do for you if you could wave a magic wand and it could do anything for you? You could ask it to create that transaction document. Go do it. Just say, go do it. Or remind me to send a gift, or why don't you go send a gift on every anniversary of the sale? I mean, absolutely, this is something that you will be able to do. And now you're freed up to do what you do best, which is, build those relationships with your clients versus the manual work that you're currently doing.
And instantly I thought of the book, Giftology, right? The thought of giving and how that could tie in. So now you have your preferred gift provider. You could set, the type of gift based on the anniversary date, and it will do it, and it'll be attached to your credit card. So yes, this is freaking awesome. I could see how this would work in my entire life, not just certain facets, but volunteering. This would work. Coordination with all of the different committees that we as real estate professionals serve on. I'm a member of a sorority. All of the different calls that surround the sorority and all of the upcoming events. Like, I would assume that the more you're involved, the better the tool will be for you in organizing your life, right? So that very productive person would get more out of the tool than the less productive person, because it gets better. Your life gets easier the more that you use the tool and implement it into the different aspects of your life.
I mean, it's even as basic as I use it to schedule my haircuts. And I go, you know what? I'm going to get a haircut every 4 weeks. And I find myself opening up the app and going, when was the last time I got a haircut? All right, it's time. Or, oh, it's not time. And I just have a conversation, and great, Friday at 3 p.m., I can make it. And that thing shows up in my calendar. And all I did was talk.
Yeah, I can see that with Style Seat, because I use Style Seat to get my haircut.
I was going to say, Marky, that one of the things I try to drive home that we're trying to really create is this idea of living a productive life. And one thing I noticed, and I'm not kidding you, this happened to me last week. I was at the gym. I was getting ready to do my workout, and I was actually on my phone messaging Enlai, and we were we're kind of like, we have our moments, we're like an old married couple. Sometimes we argue and I'm into it. I'm looking at my phone and all of a sudden, dong, I walk into a pole and it was loud. And I'm looking around. I'm just looking. Luckily, no one was there, but I'm not kidding you. And it's not here. I might have a video, another Zoom call was on where I have proof of this actually happening. And I looked up and I was just like, stupid phone. Why am I always looking at my phone? Like my screen time is through the roof, mostly because I do a lot of product testing, but my screen time is through the roof. And I started thinking, I'm like, you think of all the things when you travel, the things that you technically miss out on because you're just not engaged with the people around you. One of the things we do have on a roadmap, I'm not going to touch on it, but it's for in-person productivity conversations. In person. It's taking our technology. Imagine that if me, you, Richard, and Enlai were sitting in that room and we had something to memorialize it and to summarize it, that is what we're doing. That's coming out next. But what we're trying to do is get people away from that, living a life in terms of being present in your conversations, not looking at your phone, and knowing that all these menial data entry types tasks that are taking your focus away, where if me, you, Eleni, and Enlai go to a dueling pianos bar in New Orleans and you get a call from a lead, it's literally your responsibility and in your best interest to answer that call. So you put down your margarita, you run outside, you answer that call. You're warm, welcoming as you always are with your personality. You're engaged, you're listening because you know everything's being done for you. The second that call ends, send them a welcome email with comparable listings, information on my website. You hang up. That email is curated and sent. You come back in and the song that we were listening to on Dueling Pianos wasn't even finished yet.
I get to come in and make up words for the last sentence as I do.
Sweet Caroline, but you waltz your way back in because you're living a productive life where you not only, as it is important in real estate, to that speed to lead, satisfying that lead, answering that call, because if you don't answer that call, that lead's potentially going to go somewhere else. So it's important to be able to action and be actioning. It's our favorite word, but actioning those leads and the tasks that you need to complete quickly, instantaneously, and honestly, powered by the sound of your voice. And that's what we're hoping to instill in people.
You will definitely do that because I had an idea, but you've opened up so many additional possibilities today because I'm always thinking work. Now I'm thinking just life productivity. That's what in every facet. I would be more inclined to talk on the telephone. Okay. And I don't even pride myself on talking on the telephone because you would make my life so much easier. If my fellow realtors want to use your products and your services or even reach out, right? Because I work with a lot of managing brokers of records and franchises. How do they connect with you?
I can take it. They can email us directly at info@productive.ai. Go to our website, www.productive.ai. You can trial the product for free on your Android or iOS, Apple device, I should say iPhone. 7-day free trial. Sign up, try it. There's no commitment. If you don't like it at the end, you could just not continue. But we connect to over 20 plus CRMs, and again, you talk about the personal productivities. We satisfy that very well. But again, it works on your cell phone number, and that's what we really not only pride ourselves on. It's what differentiates us from anyone else in the marketplace, is that we're not giving you another number. We're not changing your phone behavior, like you said earlier, Mark. If you're in your car, Bluetooth, tap your earbud, whatever it is, you answer the call like you always have. Your number doesn't change. Your caller ID doesn't change. Everything's the same, except you have this beautiful AI assistant that takes care of everything else for you. So we always welcome people to email us. Again, go to our website and again, trial it, please. We would welcome it.
So I know most of you haven't heard about this. So now you're going to go and get your 7-day trial. Okay. Trial. You heard it here first, right? With your girl, Marky Lemons-Ryhal, and try it out. And let me say this, try it for everything. Those calls that you weren't answering, answer those calls now. because now you'll have documentation and records, especially if you ever want to file a class action lawsuit against the people who just spamming you, right? You'll have it as documented, right? Look,
Absolutely.
we'll get a whole lot of healthcare calls because we're getting a bunch of those, but you'll have the proof for every single call. Tell them the website at not the website, but the app, and they can download it, you said, in Apple and also
Google Play Store and the Apple Store. Yes.
And Android. Yes.
Android, yes.
For the Android user.
Yeah, you can. So if you go to the store itself, you can search for Productive Call Assistant.
Productive Call Assistant, guys. I want you to go and try this tool out. Try it out for 7 days. See how it changes your life. And how many customer relationship management systems do you work with currently?
20 plus.
20 plus. And I'm pretty sure that will continue to grow. They have a pipeline built out of new tools that they're going to bring in. I am looking forward just to how it's going to change my life. But more importantly, I want to hear your feedback on how it is going to change your real estate business.